Broadcasting from a secret bunker underneath Fort McHenry, it's the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, Nice Guy community, welcome back. My name is Strickland Bonner, Doug Sandler on the other side of the microphone, and still here from last week to recap the Mastermind. We have Casey Cornelius and Sean Carpenter. Say hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, guys, we've been here all week.
Yeah, and
Try the veal.
Sean's actually living in the back of my car right now. So
it's not a car; it's a van down by the river.
And Sean's got his 2016 Centennial National Park Service T-shirt on, which that'll be a sad day when Trump closes all of them, so he can put hotels up there instead.
Well, I think the hotels will look nice at the top of Mount Rainier.
Trump Park.
Going to the Sun Road, Donald Trump, Mount Logan Pass Hotel.
Well, you're from?
I'm born in Billings, Montana. My mom still has a place out in Glacier National Park in Kalispell, so right at the footprint of Glacier National Park, and I was out there this summer. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of the country.
It's so great. Strick, have you ever thought about visiting the national parks?
No. I see pictures. They're very pretty. No, seriously though, I try to play that part. National parks are great, right? And I know we've talked about it. I do not advocate getting rid of all of them. I'm just saying, do we need 50 of them? And do they need to be hundreds of thousands of square miles? What was the one in Alaska, right? That we said they had, if you took all the visitors for the entire year, right?
Why are you rehashing
and
this?
Divided it by the number of square miles just of that national park, you could give over a square mile of land to every single visitor and just let them stay for the year.
It's just a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. Way to go, Casey. Casey's a man of few words. It's just a T-shirt. That'll be the leading quote for today's episode.
So our mastermind, which was last week, we had Casey and Sean speaking. We also had Rob Jallis. We also had Laura Cannon. And man, I'm telling you, I was happy with it. I thought it was amazing. I had a lot of great takeaways from everybody.
I got like 5 or 6 pages of notes. And once again, it's funny, we're speakers and we travel around, but taking notes from other people is just great to be a student for a change, to be an audience member. It was really a lot of fun. We had a couple other local guests that provided us some really good insights from kind of a layman's standpoint, kind of like the man on the street standpoint, which I thought was powerful. And we had some really good conversations. We challenged each other. We learned from each other. We laughed, but we thought there were some emotional moments, and Doug, and there was
all right. So I'm the crybaby in the group. We all know that. Okay. So, Laura said a couple of things that, definitely, that was part of was it the goals set? When did I actually?
She had us close our eyes.
Yeah, I closed my eyes. I'm really not good. I'm afraid of the dark. Everybody knows that. And I still believe in Santa Claus. So don't tell me anything about
that. It was
these
a great exercise because she really made us think about down the road, where do we see ourselves and where do we want to be? And it kind of tied in with Casey's, discussion about vision and mission, whether you're a company or an individual. And she just really challenged us to think about what we would want that to be and 3 words that come to mind. And I think when you thought about your 3 words, you kind of thought more about the why you chose those 3 words. And it was kind of cool because it made us all think about that. Well,
I think the biggest thing that I got out of that was, she says, okay, what are the things that you want? Like, what are you working hard for? And of course, a lot of people are like, well, I'm working for money. Well, really, is it really money? No, it's what money provides you or what you perceive that money will provide you. In other words, she made the specific comment that, she wants money because she wants freedom. In other words, she wants to be able to make enough money that she doesn't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, that's her big word.
Where other people maybe want money because they do want more stuff or more cool toys, or they want to have that badge or that trophy on the wall. But really, what do you want ultimately?
I think we need to send a special shout out to Laura and to Rob also. And obviously Sean and I are here, but it was such a great experience. As Sean mentioned, just learning from other really high level speakers and thought leaders. And you talked about pages of notes. I took pages of notes as well, and I sat back and I probably had 5 big takeaways just from the day. And normally something like that, like if you have one moment, you're like, okay, that was worth it. To reflect and see that there's 5. For me, I don't know about you, Sean, at least 5 really good things. I'm like, I need to act on this now.
Yeah, and the things we didn't write down, but the relationships, right? The physical, personal relationships of being able to shake hands and fist bump and hug and talk to people who we know are going to be able to help us down the road. And we hopefully will have the opportunity to help them down the road. And so, like we're doing now, talking to an audience, that's what we do all the time. But to know that it impacted people and to be able to see it up close, that it impacted people, I think that's a really neat takeaway as well, Casey. It's not on my note card, but it's the business card, it's the handshake, it's the relationship now.
I think that's why, at least that initial thought of why do I want to put this mastermind together, and that was a question that was brought up in the meeting yesterday, and I really couldn't formulate the words. Why did I put this together? What did I hope that the show would get out of this? And really it came down to, for me, is what it usually comes down to for me. It's about having that sense of community and having the relationships strengthen. I think a couple of times in the process, and I remember specifically a conversation you and I had, Sean, as I'm planning this, and I'm thinking, this just isn't working. And then I said, what should I do? I think I asked you, as a guy that is used to doing, maybe not conferences, but just going to a lot of these. And I said, what should I do? And you said, Sean, just keep, either way, any way you decide to go is going to be fine. But I don't think you should decide to cancel it. I think that if it's 2 people, it's 2 people. If it's 20 people, great. If it's 100, that's terrific. And the people that need to be there are going to be there. And that's exactly what happened. We had 8 or 9?
8 or 9. And I think the size really affected the dynamic a lot, which was definitely planned. If we had decided that we wanted to have 50 or 100 people, because, we turned hundreds away, right? No, we didn't turn hundreds away. But bottom line was I knew up front, again, we've never put these together before, but I wanted it to be intimate. I mean, everybody that spoke has spoken in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. But as soon as you cross that threshold of either 10 people versus like 15 or 20, you're not talking to them, you're talking at them. And yes, you can have a Q&A afterwards, but you can't get into intimate details. And that was really planned, that we kept the group small. For example, Nick Mazzotti, I think, who is in a situation right now where he has got a big business question in a business that he's been in for 10 years. I think everybody brought a lot of different things to the table that he was really are going to help him in what he's going to be going through.
And that was really beautiful. Actually, just how that happened organically, and the question that he came to the table with, and everyone's perspective in it. You could tell where he was from point A to the end of the discussion, just a totally different.
Well, and you remember being in, he's 31 years old. So you remember being 31 years old and not feeling like you had all of the answers. And at 52, correct, I feel like I don't have all the answers. Sometimes I need that feeling like I have other people. This mastermind, for me, it was great knowing that everybody that was in this group actually has very similar concerns that I have. But we all come at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, I think when you're younger, you look at it as wisdom. When you're older, you look at it as experience.
Right.
Same exact message, just seen a different way. And Doug, I go back, it's probably 4 or 5 months ago, and as one of your vocal fans, on social and reaching out to you guys because you guys are open like that. I think I called and gave you some insights on here's what I'm thinking as a fan, just speaking as a fan. And what I really appreciate about it is you guys didn't say, well, fuck you. Who cares what you think? And this is our show, because it really is our show. It's you guys. Yeah.
Everybody.
It's the community. And then you said, well, hey, would you mind, maybe being on a mastermind group? And I was like, I'd be happy to help. And then you guys started putting it together and it got closer. And then, like I said, you were unsure what to do. And I'm like, hey, look, man, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. So I think if it's bigger next time, great. If it's the same group next time, great. We'd all come with more experience and more ideas and more insights and probably a little more comfort to share a little bit more about what we think can help everybody.
So I always think about the next one, right? I'm going to ask you guys, put you on the spot. I assume that there's going to be a Mastermind 2.
Oh, no, this would suck. We'll never do it again. Yes, absolutely. I think
Mastermind 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, we would love to do it. We never really thought about what's the next plan when we came up with the first plan. We don't have it all. You guys might think we have all of our shit together because the show is so tight. We have
seamless.
We have no idea, but we think, we would love to do another one, and we're not really sure what that looks like, though.
Well, I hope more listeners attend. I hope more people attend. And I think that the beauty of the intimacy and everything, yes, for the program was outstanding. However, it would be interesting to see what would happen if there were 20 people in that room, because all of the great ideas that just sort of happened organically, authentically throughout the day, I wonder how many weren't. I have a great mentor. You guys know that I'm in martial arts, and he always talks about the idea of investing in your jiu-jitsu. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to spend some money to do this, but what's the cost of not doing it? What am I not going to learn? In those, like I said, those 5 big takeaways, I'm not going to be able to tuck those in my pocket if I didn't come to the event, right? So there are people who are listening to this right now and they're like, oh, it sounds like a great time. Commit yourself. Next time, it probably won't be election day.
Yeah, maybe that planning wasn't so perfect.
But you'll commit yourself to being there, because I can tell you there's no way we can recreate and recapture everything that was happening in the room. But it would be very hard to have worked for 8 hours with the great people who are in this room and not taken something away that would apply directly to your life and business.
Now, Rob Jollis, he did basically the opener. So I guess you'd call him the keynote in our little group. At the end of his talk, I wanted to hire him just to pick his brain for the day. I mean, you could tell that the information that he gave us was such a tiny sliver of the incredible information that he has gotten and the knowledge he's gotten over the years of 30 years of doing this. It was amazing.
Yeah, very, very comfortable. And I think that, and Sean, when you were doing yours, what was so amazing was it was like I could have listened to you for 3 hours, I didn't realize until we got in the car and were going out afterwards. You said, well, I had to cut down a 2.5 hour presentation to 60 minutes. I'm like you could have, it's amazing how much information that you have and how fluid, what you know. That's obviously a huge amount of experience that you have over all the years. And the way that you craft a story to get to the message at the end, it's not like we're waiting around going, okay, what's the point? What's the point? No, we're like totally engrossed in the story. And then at the end, there's the payoff and it's like, oh my God, yeah. I thought it was neat the way all 4 of the presenters had a different style, had a different method of delivery. Rob and Casey in the morning both taught with no visuals. I take that back. Casey used the old-fashioned whiteboard, which I love. Yeah. But he made us part of the show by making us write and making us talk and making us be part of the act. Laura did she used visuals, but it was a lot of us shutting our eyes and making our own visuals. And then I used pretty much a full storyboard with but it was not a lot of words. It was mostly pictures with stories behind it. And so it's just interesting how all 4 of us delivered a totally different. Okay, full confession. So I had a talk ready to go for the event, and then I had to follow Rob. And I was like, and Rob, I hope you're listening. I was like, okay, I'm going to scrap my talk. There was not scrap it, but there were some elements that were built in. It became purely a workshop at that point. It became purely a guided discussion. I love what you did, because when somebody makes me actually take a pencil to paper and write down things, it makes instant engagement. Yeah, instant engagement. When you have me write things down, you start to really have to think about the goal setting, and then it was completely planned. It was totally and completely planned. So let me ask you a question, because when you travel around and work with college students, I find that oftentimes it's the 45-minute lecture is good, but it's the learning at the round tables that truly makes the time valuable. It's the students, it's the attendees, it's the participants talking out loud and masterminding in some small way their own ideas. So they say, well, my idea is not the only one, but I could see that side of it and challenge. And don't you see that that's where the true learning takes place? Yeah, absolutely. So we refer to it as think, pair, share. Right. So you give people a question, you give them some time to think about it. You partner up with someone who's next to you, typically in a larger room. You talk amongst 2 or 3 people, and then share out your takeaways. And it's amazing what happens in any room that's larger than, say, 15 or 20, even up to hundreds of people. The commonalities where someone makes an observation and then everyone else goes, yeah. So there's a lot of that goes on. I think that there has to be some level of fearlessness to turn the room over. If you're doing that style, if you're holding a microphone and you're the only one who's on the mic,
you can, really control the message and know in the room. When you hand the microphone over to someone else and say, so what do you think? You don't know. Like, you all had an experience recently, didn't you, where you turned a mic over and
DC Podfest when we took our Q&A and it got turned on.
It's a little different direction. A little different direction.
Well, you have to be ready for it. You have to be able to not just to deliver a message, but you have to actually understand what your belief. You have to be able to express your beliefs so that people. You don't want to be offending anybody that's in your audience, but you have to be able to be there to stand by your philosophy.
Well, the flexibility too, I love. Rob mentioned in his talk a couple of times, he basically said, look, when I get up there and we've got, let's say, 2 or 3 or 4 different speakers and I'm in the middle, I want to be the guy that when I'm done, the other speakers go, what the fuck am I going to do? And Casey, obviously, that's what you did. We had no idea, which I would have felt the same way. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm glad I'm not going after Rob.
Rob is my new opening act.
But I got to tell you, Casey, what you did, and I want to share it really quickly with the community because I think this is such a great exercise. The really, really quick version. He starts with, okay, 10 years from now, what award do you want to get? Okay, write it down. Now, 1 year from now, what is your goal to try to get there? Okay, well, now let's break it down more. 1 month from now, what are you going to do to achieve that goal? And it's so simple when you think about it, but you got to think about it and you got to have it in front of you. And I've got a huge note with a huge star on my notes that says, this goal right here, I need to do something every day. Even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's just something, it's the end of the day and I'm tired. You know what? No. I need to take 5 minutes at least every goddamn day if that's what I really want. And I'm telling you,
Casey's giving the symbol like somebody heard me.
Somebody listened.
Casey,
I'm telling you,
I
listened and I am so grateful. And by the way, I'm going to be contacting you probably in the next couple of months when I get my presentation together. I can pitch you to maybe become one of your speakers.
I love it. Thank you. Seriously, very humbled. Thank you.
The metaphor I'd use for your session was you gave us all a single reflex action camera, right? You said, look through the viewfinder. And as we get closer, we focus, right? If you've ever taken a picture with a one that you have to do the focus, you focus, and it finally becomes clear. And then what do? Do we take the picture? No, we go a little bit further to determine that we're perfectly in focus. Right. And so you helped sort of say, all right, we got a big picture. Now we're going to zoom in, we're going to zoom in, we're going to zoom in, and let's go a little bit more. And then we bring it back to where we can see what we want to see. So I agree with you, man. It was awesome. And, every time we got to kind of a group discussion and Doug had it planned out well, we had questions that we all submitted. I love it when I throw a question out to the audience and say, at your tables or with your partner, do this. And then, Casey, you probably have this feeling too. It's such a fuel as a speaker when the energy of the room goes up.
Sure.
Because they're all talking about what you asked them to talk about. It's not like, what time's lunch and when's the next break?
I oddly love it when they don't want to come back from the conversation.
Like, okay,
and they're like, no, 5 more minutes. Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's funny. We all want to talk so much. And now it's like, that's the pregnant pause. But hey,
we talked about the pause yesterday. We talked about that moment that sometimes we just need to wait for the other person to finish what they want to say. Because just because they stop talking doesn't mean they're done. And so that pause could open so much more information, whether it's a sales opportunity, whether it's a relationship. Sometimes it's just that pause or that tell me more.
That was the greatest thing that one of the great things that Sean said in his presentation. Let's say you're a salesman and you're selling something and you put a question out to somebody. Okay. They ask you a question, right? And they're waiting for an answer. Sometimes the best thing to do is not say anything. You just give them a look. And when somebody says, hey, what do you think? Is that price good? And you just don't say anything and you just look at them. They want to go, okay, well, maybe a little lower. Okay. And then you don't say anything. Maybe a little bit lower.
The other thing that Sean talked about that I'm absolutely stealing, and I won't give away what you call it, but Sean has a process every day in which he systematically plans how he's going to engage with his network. And by the time he's done, so there's a variety of things that he does during this period of time, 45 minutes a day. Then he rewards himself with a coffee from Starbucks. He doesn't give himself the coffee beforehand. He does the series of tasks first, not even tasks, the series of things. Business development things. And I have to admit that was one of my big takeaways was, because I talk about the concept of every day, what can you do? And you're doing it. You're doing it every single day. And then there's no surprise that you have so many people engaged with you on social media and in person. And it's just those type of takeaways is really what made the Mastermind so special.
It's kind of like what Martin Luther King's quote that says, faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the whole stairway.
Correct.
And so I'm doing the things every day, Casey, that you talked about, and there's not an immediate return. I put the seeds in the ground and I've got to water it and till it and wait for it to burst through the ground. And even then it still isn't bearing fruit. But I have to know that it's going to happen.
What did you say? You don't just throw the seeds out there and they go, they didn't grow. What's going on?
Yeah, but from an outsider's perspective, looking at the actions that you go through on a daily basis, it seems like you know what you're doing. It seems like you have confidence. It seems like you have no fear. And I know there's got to be the same as in all of us. There is that level of fear. Will this work? You know, whether you're growing a speaking agency or developing a message, Strick, like you were doing to get out there, or whether you have a business of reinvention and trying to figure out where my life is going. You're in that same position. I see you, Sean, at this different level because it's like you ooze confidence. And I don't know if that is something that's by design or if that's just how you are, or talk about that for a second.
Well, I think I talked about this when I was on the show with you guys, a year ago almost, in sales, and we're all in sales in some form or fashion, but trying to get people to use me as a real estate agent in Central Ohio or hire me as a speaker. Building a cult-like following is huge for me. And cult-like following is when people know you, like you, and trust you. Mm-hmm. You know, think about I call it KULT. And knowing and liking part's easy, right? Getting people to know me and like me is easy. Getting people to trust me is extremely difficult. So I really focus on the 3 C's that build trust: confidence, competence, and consistency.
And you did this all day yesterday too. Right. You are so systemized with what you do. It's like, man, this guy, you are success. You may not have felt like you've achieved it yet, but you are that. It's now just the rest of it.
Yeah, but those things, those little things are the core. They're the chorus of a song. Like, because I say it so often and I believe it, that when you're competent at what you do, when you're confident at what you do, and more importantly, when you're consistent at what you do, I think people trust you more, right? I mean,
confidence is everything. I mean, really, it's
but
so
consistency.
Important.
I think how did I build the relationship with Washington Talent over the last 17 years? If somebody at the agency said, "Hey, we've called Doug 3 times and he hasn't called back," who are they going to doubt? They're going to doubt the customer that's saying it, or are they going to doubt that Doug actually didn't return the call? Yeah. I've built a level of trust with the agency where they say, "Hey, he hasn't gotten the message. If you're calling him and he doesn't return your call, he's not getting it then, because he returns every phone call, every email. He's on time every time."
The consistency builds trust. That's what it's all about. You have to be consistent to build that trust.
No doubt. McDonald's, does anyone here think McDonald's has the best hamburgers in the world? No. But if you need a hamburger and you're on the road and you see the Golden Arches and you order a Big Mac, what are you going to get?
2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, put those onions on a sesame seed bun. Every time. Yeah. No matter where you are.
No matter where you are. And I know I'm going to get it. So how can a client know they're going to get a great presentation from me when they only hire me once every 2 to 3, 5, 10 years? Yeah. I have to be consistent, and through my social media presence, through my word of mouth that we talked about yesterday,
word of mouth.
If I can get my message told by other people, right? If I can get, once again, I think Seth Godin said it best. He said, the key to success is turning strangers into friends, turning friends into customers, and then the most important thing is turn those customers into salespeople, to get them to tell people how amazing the experience was.
Yeah. As Peter Shankman would say, you want to turn them into zombie loyalists. You make them a loyal customer, so much so that they're willing to do anything to get you back in front of them as a
look at the loyalty that the Chicago Cubs fans have been delivered, being passionate for and good for them for raising the banner and getting the monkey off their back, and I think everybody roots for their team, their company, their brand, their country to win, right? To do that. So it was a fun day, guys. I can't thank you enough. I know Casey probably feels the same way. I'm sure the other people that were in the room really appreciate you guys taking a chance and making it work and setting everything up, and it's been a blast.
Thank you. Absolutely.
No, I think it was a really amazing experience. I think it was great. We absolutely are going to do it again. We got so much out of it. I think everybody that was there got a lot out of it. And anybody who was there or wasn't there, please feel free to speak out to us on the Facebook page or tweet out and let us know your thoughts on that or the things that we've talked about on the show today.
So we're thinking in next month? We'll do it again. Is it?
Yeah, sure.
maybe a little soon.
Don't we have coffee talk next month? We're going to be flying across the country.
Yeah, look for the Nice Guys on Business podcast coffee tour coming to a city near you soon. We're going to figure that one out soon.
We definitely need to figure that one out. The great thing is we got out of our comfort zone, and you have to do that. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, then you're just never going to grow. And this mastermind, we threw it together and we're like, what the hell are we going to do? We don't know. Let's just do it.
Let's figure it out as we go along.
Yep.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Sean, Casey, Strick, excellent spending time with you guys.
Thank you, guys.
The others this week. Sean, what's the guy's name? Sean.
Steve O'Brien?
Yeah. What do you want to...
Not Jim O'Brien?
Yeah, I really messed that up that time.
Yeah.
Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Jim O'Brien? I do opens and closes for 60 fucking episodes of this stupid-ass show and you can't even remember my goddamn name. Do you think I get paid if I said, and here's your nice guy, Dave Silver? They'd throw me out on my ass and never look back. They don't pay me enough for this bullshit. Nice Guys in podcast land my ass. I should call John Lee Dumas. I bet he appreciates his voiceover talent.